as we have the box office here, and Snake Eyes is actually underperforming my original projections here. I projected both movies to gross around 15 to 20 million. Old actually did beat my actually wasn't my projections. Actually, Snake Eyes underperformed a lot of my projections. So apparently, I must have over projected Snake Eyes, a GI Joe movie. But other than that, my projections have been pretty good and spot on so far, with the exception of Snake Eyes, GI Joe movie, and Space Avenue Legacy. I predicted Space Avenue Legacy would open to 20 million. But first movie we have is Old, number one movie of the week. If we, no, not Quiet Place 2. I want Old, not Quiet Place Part 2. Why did they, why, okay, can I feel it? Yep, they have international box office. 23 million, it's okay, but again, Old has an $18 million budget. So this movie needs to make around 36 to 40 million dollars to break even. But I think Old will definitely break the 40 million mark. It needs to do it. And Old will probably make like 48 million, 40 to 40 million dollars if it was a normal box office deal. But again, half the audience does not want to go because they're too scared to go to theaters, or because they're scared of the Delta variant, they're scared of that. So the box office was actually recovering with Black Widow, but again, Black Widow, half of audiences wanted to go see the movie on Disney Plus. They didn't want to go see the movie on theaters. And again, the fan masks can't accept that. Can't accept that. Just cannot accept that for some reason. But Old made $23 million, and it looks like an interesting movie to me. It looks like I'll probably see this movie when it comes on Blu-ray. Again, I don't really see movies in theaters. Usually, I see a movie in theaters like once or twice a year. I don't go like every movie. Maybe in the future I might start doing that if I have and maybe in the future I might start doing that. But right now, I don't see movies in the theaters. Right now, I just don't see movies in the cinema. Well, I just don't really have much interest, and that's it when it comes on Blu-ray. Right, basically. So Old, but we can still have to talk about the box office though. But yep, Snake Eyes is, doesn't have international sales at all for some reason. They don't have international sales, but Old and most other movies usually do. But this movie does not have international sales, so we'll probably talk about the movie on Monday again, later today again, of international sales. But Snake Eyes, the actual origins, this is just abysmal sales. $88 million budget for teen. It'll probably end up making 40 to $40 million. And it's not an animated movie, so it'll probably make $30 million at the end. And it'll probably make like 60 to $70 million. So that means overall this movie's gonna be a box office failure. Yeah, yeah. But again, it's showing volumes of proof that people are sick of endless sequels, endless cast grabs, endless prequels, endless spin-offs, endless this and that and this and that. And if they really want to bring back G.I. Joe, I think they sort of made another movie first. Because they're trying to make another new G.I. Joe universe, and it's just going to fail. Because it's just absolutely a, and of course, a lot of the people who grew up with G.I. Joe are not too happy with the movie either. With, again, the main audience that wants to see a movie does not want to see it, with mostly people who have nostalgia for the old G.I. Joe shows, the old G.I. Joe cartoons, and those people don't want to watch the movie. And of course, the Phantom Menace does not want to see the movie, but they don't really matter, as proven by Black Widow's success. They don't really matter. They do, but for small movies like this, they do kind of have an impact on a film's box office. But of course, they refuse to give it a chance, but the Phantom Menace is just a bunch of, old middle-aged men that complain about movies, basically, they make money on it, though, but, but, yeah, but absolutely, Snake Eyes, the Origins, $14 million. And once it does well internationally, it does get a Chinese release date, this movie is most likely going to be a flop. So Black Widow, we have the international sales at 160 million. So including Disney Plus sales, it's now at 140 million. We can officially say that Black Widow is not a flop. Yep, Black Widow is not a financial failure like the Phantom Menace is making it out to be. Because they exclude always the Disney Plus sales on the worldwide gross. They exclude the Disney Plus sales on this here. And even then, this movie still gonna probably make back its money in the theaters if it gets to China, we say definitely it will. But it more than likely may do similar to the movie Tenet at the worldwide box office. But again, it seems that people outside of America just don't really care for Black Widow, which is not good for Marvel, because Marvel is used to having massive international box office grosses, but the movie will probably end up making around $180 million and $180 million internationally, which means it'll probably be around $200 million domestically, $200 million internationally. And of course, you can compare this to the only other movie that opened at this, which is F9 The Fast Saga, which F9 The Fast Saga is actually now beating Black Widow. So both movies are performing absolutely the same, and Black Widow is at F9 is at 163 million, and Black Widow is performing slightly better than F9 The Fast Saga. And both movies, I believe, at the same point were around $113 million apart. So by the time Black Widow reaches its fourth weekend, it should be around $176 million. $172 to $133 million was when you compare it to the F9 The Fast Saga. But again, F9 The Fast Saga's massive international growth is from China. Now, both movies are actually performing relatively similarly internationally if you exclude the Chinese gross. If you exclude the Chinese gross, so that means Black Widow shouldn't make back the money. Both movies have basically the same budget and are basically performing very similarly, except Black Widow is performing slightly better than F9. So that means Black Widow, even without China's help, and of course with Disney Plus money, Black Widow is a success. Sorry, Fandom Mess, you don't want to hear this, but Black Widow made money. Yep. With Disney Plus, $140 million according to Samba TV, which again, they report on Disney Plus sales now. Black Widow is a financial success because Black Widow made $444 million total, which means the Black Widow is around at least the bare minimum of a success, and that's of course not including future Blu-ray sales, future DVD sales as well. That's why I don't put. For example, Mortal Kombat and Tom and Jerry don't really put watch numbers for those unless it's up to 40 million, because it really depends on how well it does on video. But Black Widow's, went from, it's still around 40 million, and Fetus, I think, is still around a $40 to $50 million watch. But we have this movie, Space Jam: New Legacy. I only made 2 videos on this movie, Bomb. Man, it's currently a $150 million watch. The Phantom Menace is not going to talk about this. We all know they're not going to talk about Space Jam: New Legacy losing money because they love this movie for some reason because they beat Black Widow. But Black Widow beat this movie on the second weekend. It dropped even worse than Black Widow. Space Jam: New Legacy, because people hate LeBron James. It's just that simple. LeBron James sucks, and he's a bad athlete, and he's just a bad person in general. F9 The Fast Saga. We're going to finally talk about this movie. $621 million here. But F9 The Fast Saga is basically just performing like a Fast and is doing alright. It's not the biggest success in the world. It's not the biggest success, but it still is a success. And we'll probably get more endless sequels to this franchise. They said number 11 will be the last entry. We'll really see if they actually do that or not. But F9 The Fast Saga is going at that much money. Escape Room, or as calling it Escape Flop, Tournament of Champions, has made $16 million domestically. This movie has like a $16 million budget, so we might actually put this on the flop list if this continues performing poorly internationally. But yep, Escape Flop, Tournament of Champions is not making money. So next movie is Boss Baby Family Business. Again, they do. Yep, I like I predicted. But of course, I'm the troll. It's because it's the internet. It comes out. Yeah, Boss Baby finally comes out in Mexico, Netherlands, and South Korea. This movie's gonna do well internationally, and it's gonna come out. It's finally coming out in international markets, according to IMDb data. It is gonna start coming out in international markets. So we'll continue taking on Boss Baby's international box office every weekend. And when you talk about the box office, of course, on the weekends of August 14th and on weekends of August 14th, I can't talk about the box office because I'll be on vacation, so I can't talk about Free Guy and Don't Breathe. But I'll definitely talk about both of those movies later on the weekend when Paw Patrol comes out and stuff. So, yep, next movie is The Forever Purge. Yep, we could probably get the Forever sequels that are not needed, but this movie apparently is performing so well. It made money, basically, and $18 million budget. So, yep, Forever Purge. Yeah. Quiet Place Part 2, the last movie we're going to talk about here. Again, it has not really done well that much better internationally, basically, but it is made $157 million, which is a massive. I think Black Widow is going to pass this movie very shortly as well. And F9 already passed it. No, not Resident Evil. Nobody gives a crap about Resident Evil. But yeah, F9 and Black Widow. And yeah, Black Widow and F9 and Quiet Place Part 2. This is the gross. And if you really put the comparison here, F9 is going to probably end up at 138 to 180 million. Black Widow is going to probably end up around 190 million at the end of its box office run. Which I can make those predictions because these movies, you can compare them and how they're doing. Here, all three movies at this point are doing practically the same. At this point. All three movies are doing practically the same. So F9 will eventually reach. Okay, at this point, Quiet Place. That means at this point, F9 will make 183 to 185 million. And Black Widow is slightly behind by 2 weeks. So Black Widow should eventually, reach. Will reach. Here, which is since will reach $195 million. Yep, $195 million. Yeah, and it's to do $200 million internationally. So 300. And I think it's it'll probably do like $210 million internationally or something like that. So that means Black Widow will make $400 million in the theater. That's a lot of money, considering the fact that it had a Disney Plus release as well. So pretty impressive sales given Disney Plus's release. And given the $148 million by Sampa TV, Black Widow is a success, regardless how. So that means, yep, it's not a failure. Black Widow is not a flop. It's not a failure. And the Phantom Menace will say, "Oh, you're just a seal, blah blah blah." If they ever discover this, they call me a seal, blah blah blah. I always ignore them, of course, because nobody gives a crap. I don't give a crap what they think anymore. Their opinions are not really valid to me anymore. That's basically about this video. Goodbye.